Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of The Brendan Burns Show. Joining me today is Christian Mickelsen from Coaches with Clients. I recently heard Christian on James Wedmore's podcast, and this dude is the man. He knows how to get clients. He's the ultimate coach, charging high ticket, and he knows how to make asks. People often say, ask and you shall receive, and I don't have to tell you, Christian, you know how to do this. So thank you, and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So let's just go back in time a little bit. I know that you probably weren't born a coach. Where are you from? Where did you start out before getting on this awesome path?
Yeah. Well, I'm originally from Chicago. I lived in San Diego for the last 16 years and just moved to Puerto Rico a few weeks ago. Yay. Loving it here. My coaching, I started off, I grew up on food stamps and welfare programs and all kinds of stuff. And so for me, when I first got into coaching, my first coaching fees I charged $195 a month on a month-to-month basis. I struggled for the first couple of years getting enough clients to pay my bills. I almost lost my house, my car. I was still pretty young when I got started. I was about 25, and I almost quit many times. And I remember one day I was taking out the garbage. I was carrying the recycling bin out to the driveway, and I just started thinking, would this be a better life to be a garbage man and have a steady paycheck? And I was working a ton of hours, but I wasn't working with a lot of clients. And I was falling behind on my mortgage, catching back up, falling behind, catching back up. It was so stressful. It was emotionally exhausting. And I just felt like, man, I could get a steady paycheck, benefits, I'm sure I'm not going to enjoy being a garbage man, but it felt like a better opportunity, a better reality than the one I was living. And I remember I told my best friend, and we used to buddy coach each other all the time. And I said, look, dude, I'm quitting. I can't do this anymore. I think I'm just going to be a garbage man. I felt like they'd probably, I'd be qualified. They'd hire me. And he was like, man, no, you can't do it. You're too good of a coach. You've got to stick with this thing. And then he challenged me. He's like, you got to do whatever it takes. Let's read a book every week. He's like, let's do this together. Let's read a book every week. And I was like, I'm a slow reader. I don't want to commit to a book a week because first of all, if I make a commitment, I want to keep it, right? I don't want to just be like, yeah, let's do it. I'm not one to rush into stuff, but I was like, all right, finally he convinced me to do it. And 3 weeks later, he stopped reading a book a week, but I kept going for 36 weeks in a row. And that helped. I was reading books on, business books, personal growth, sales, marketing, all that stuff. I was also, I was completely maxed out on my credit cards where I had $75,000 in debt from a previous business I'd started. And I didn't have any, I had no wiggle room. So I just had to bootstrap it. But eventually things started to change, and ultimately one of the big shifts for me was like, you know what, I'm going to do this for a living, house, car, if I lose it all, whatever. In fact, I made this whole plan that if I lose everything, that I would just I'd be homeless and living in Chicago. My plan was to head south. And if I was homeless, I would just roam from town to town and maybe try to coach people and hope they would take me in. And let me take a shower somewhere, and then I would go to another town. And I watched this show when I was a kid growing up called Kung Fu, and it was about this guy, this monk, a Buddhist guy who was he was trained in Kung Fu, and he was a pacifist. He would go from town to town, and people would take him in, and then bad guys would come into town, and he'd have to solve all the problems with Kung Fu. And I was like, all right, well, I'll do the same thing, but only instead of using Kung Fu, I'll use coaching. So in my mind, I was like, this will be a new show called Coach Fu.
I love that.
Luckily, I didn't end up having to be homeless. But I stopped trying. Partly, I wanted to have the house because I was like, I want people to think I'm successful and keep up appearances. If I lose the house, oh, what are people gonna think? But ultimately, I just let all that go, and I just started focusing on helping people and doing my best to reach people and help people and let the chips fall where they may. And eventually, one of the big shifts for me was learning how to do these intro sessions. I would give away free coaching and turn it into paid coaching. Eventually I turned my business around, and then 5 coaches hired me to help them grow their business. And I was able to help 4 out of the first 5 coaches that ever hired me. I was able to help them grow their business from 0 to over 100,000 a year within 18 months. And one of them did it in 72 days. And that's when I realized that all the things that I learned through trial and error in the School of Hard Knocks, I could share with other coaches, and they could become successful way faster than I did. And now I've helped thousands and thousands of coaches, hundreds of thousands of coaches actually, all over the world, learn how to get clients. And now, I mean, I've had people get from 0 to 6 figures in 34 days, even in 2 weeks. I mean, it can be really fast once you take these strategies and apply them. Results can happen really fast.
I love that. And just from hearing your work, it's so obvious that you have this toolkit, and it really stood out to me because I listen to a lot of podcasts and audiobooks, and I was like, no, this guy, I got to get him on the show. So what would you say from all of this experience? I know you kind of walked through on James's show, like meeting someone, do a discovery call, kind of free coaching session, and sell them the package. But a lot of people out there are connecting with people. They're getting them on the discovery call or the 30-minute Zoom session. But what do you find to be most effective in actually converting them into a paid client?
Well, I mean, there's so many things. I have an entire training program called Free Sessions That Sell, the client sign-up system, which we launch once a year. We open registration once a year in January, so we're gonna be doing that soon.
Yep.
But I'll be happy to share, as much as I can while we're here together. A lot of it has to do, so first, I think the dilemma most coaches have is and for me, that's the dilemma I had, was in the early days of doing intro sessions, or discovery sessions, or strategy sessions, whatever you want to call them. It's for me, what I learned was, you're supposed to just do sample sessions of coaching. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to coach them. And I would coach them, I'd coach them, and I'd coach them. Sometimes I would coach people for an hour. Sometimes I'd coach them for an hour and a half. Sometimes I'd coach them for 2 hours. I would I'd give me an issue. Let me coach you on it. And I would just do my best. And my belief was, which was a false belief, but my belief was if I could just coach them so good, they could see how great of a coach I was, then they would naturally want to hire me. And so whenever I would coach my butt off and then they wouldn't hire me, then what would happen was my confidence, even though I may have done amazing coaching, help them like crazy, my confidence would plummet because I would think, oh my gosh, they didn't hire me. They must not think I'm a very good coach. And I had all my self-worth based on other people's opinions of me and all that stuff. So I was young and it was really tough. Honestly, the hardest part about having success as a coach is handling the inner game. Handling the doubts, the fears, the who am I to do this? Who am I to do that? One of the things I tell coaches, it's great if you're already $1 million business owner and you're going to coach business owners, fantastic. If you're super skinny and you used to be fat, now you're going to coach people to lose weight, fantastic. If you have the greatest relationship in the history of relationships and now you're going to help other people do that, fantastic. For me, when I got started in coaching, I didn't have all that stuff. I was single. I was, in okay shape, but I was never, anyway. And I coach people on all kinds of different things. So I wasn't a business coach at the time. I was a success coach, coaching people on all sorts of different things. And I had that too, oh my God, I got to be perfect to be able to coach other people. But the truth is that if you care about people, if you love helping people, then you should be coaching people. And if you have skills and tools to help people achieve results, if you have tools to help people overcome challenges, then you should be coaching people, and you're qualified now. You don't have to be, absolutely perfect in every area of your life. You don't have to be rich and famous. You don't have to be a PhD. You don't have to have #1 best-selling book. You don't need all those things. And all those things aren't the things that clients are looking for when they're looking to hire someone. If you want to set yourself up as an expert, what you need to do is you need to speak the language of clients, which means to talk about the results that they're looking for. Talk about the challenges they're facing and the results they want. If you talk about those things and you teach them something valuable, if you do those 2 things, they're going to see you as an expert. They're going to believe you understand them, you know what they're going through, and then you naturally must know how to help them get the results they want. Those 2 things will set you up as an expert. And if you have those, that's all you need. You don't need to be perfect. So that's the first thing. is if you want to be really good at signing up clients, if people see you as an expert, they're going to be during the session, they're going to be much more likely to want to sign up even before you open your mouth, right? Because they're like, oh, let's say if you're a dating coach for women and you offer a Find Your Soulmate Now coaching session, and you're going to work, and you say, hey, during the session, we're going to work together to create a crystal clear vision for the kind of woman, kind of man you'd like to attract and the kind of relationship you'd like to have together. We're going to uncover hidden challenges that may be sabotaging your success with men in dating. And you'll leave the session renewed, re-energized, and inspired to finally attract the man of your dreams once and for all. That's the offer you make. And then people, and maybe you teach them something, right? People, like you're the Find Your Soulmate Now coach, and people, you teach them something. It's like you're talking about what they care about. You've taught them something. They come to the session now, and this is how you frame the session. The Find Your Soulmate Now coaching session, where you're going to do all those things. It's like half the work was already done before they got to the session, because they already see you as an expert. They already trust you. They already know you are helping them get the thing that they most want. So that's the setup for all of it. And the reason I'm sharing all that is because a big part of the setup is your own confidence. And when you have all these doubts and fears and uncertainty, and you have these limiting beliefs like I had, that if I can coach the heck out of them, they see how good of a coach I am, then they'll hire me. And then the reverse would be that if they don't hire me, they think I'm not a good coach. Well, that can really mess you up.
Yeah.
And then going back to the dilemma that coaches face, which was in the early days for me, is like I would just do a discovery session, right? I would do the sample session. What do you want some coaching on? And they're like, well, I don't know. And we would do this wheel of life. Here are all these areas of your life. There's health. Rate that on a scale 0 to 10. There's your love life. Rate that. Your friends, your happiness, your spirituality, your health, like your money, all those things. You just, okay, which of those do you want to work on? So that's what I would do. And I would coach the heck out of people. And I want to provide massive value. And I don't want to do anything that's salesy, pushy, manipulative. I don't want to do anything like that. I didn't want to then. I still don't want to now, and I don't. Right? I get people signing up for ultra-high coaching fees. People pay $100,000 to work with me for a single day. I didn't start off that way. I started off charging $195 a month on a month-to-month basis, where people could cancel anytime.
Yeah.
And that was rough. That's one of the reasons why I struggled. So much of the struggle that I had were just little mistakes, right? Not knowing better, not having these little secrets that I'm, sharing here, and then I'm going to continue sharing as we're talking here, and then I'll be sharing. And I share in my #1 best-selling book, Get Clients Today, which I think we're giving all of your listeners a free copy. Mm-hmm. So all of these things are, but so many little mistakes. So one was, so I didn't want to be. I was doing these free sessions. I didn't want to be salesy, manipulative, pushy, pressury, any of that stuff, right? But I would see other people who were pushy, manipulative, salesy, and they were getting more clients than I was. Now, I was actually getting clients doing just sample sessions. I had to do a lot of sample sessions. I was charging very little, very short, like no long-term commitment. So all people were putting up was really $195, and they could cancel. So it wasn't really, but I was making some sales. And it gave me a taste that, like, okay, somehow this could turn into a business. Right. All it takes to be a professional in anything is to make $1. So I got my first paid client. I was like, oh my God, I got to get more of these. But I'd get some, they've dropped. It was that was another thing too, is by having people sign up for a month-to-month thing. Anytime people dropped off the coaching, it would make me think, oh my God, I'm not that good of a coach.
Coach, yeah.
Oh, I suck, somebody wants to lose 60 pounds, and they sign up, and after 1 month they didn't lose 60 pounds. I'm like, oh God,
you're a failure.
I'm a failure. Yeah. Tony Robbins, I'm sure they would have lost the 60 pounds plus 20 more if Tony. But the truth is, nobody's going to lose 60 pounds in a month. And when things get hard, it's easy for people to quit. And that's one of the mistakes that I made, is that, like, by signing people up month to month, I thought I was doing them a favor, because I didn't want to be locked into things when I was afraid of commitment a lot, when I was younger, maybe even still a little bit now. But what I realized years later is, like, I hired myself a personal trainer, and you could pay per session, you could buy a 10 session package, or you could buy a 55 session package. And the difference in money in how much you paid per session for a 10-session package, which I'm sure was their best-selling offer, because the one session was like, I don't remember the amounts, but it was like maybe it was $75 a session if you buy one at a time. If you do a 10-session package, it was like $55. So it was huge savings. So probably everybody. And then if you bought 55 sessions, it was probably like $50 a session. So it wasn't like a huge saving, but I wanted the big package because I wanted to be locked in. I wanted to be locked into something to make sure I keep working out consistently. I didn't want to just do a session or 10 sessions and drop out. So I realized that getting people into a bigger package is actually better for the client, and it's better for you as the coach because then you don't have so much uncertainty and you're not have to freak out all the time and constantly trying to get new replacement clients. Yes. It's hard enough sometimes to get, to build up your base of clients, but if you're constantly having to replace them all the time, that makes it so much harder.
So let me just ask you a question there, and want to thank you again, Christian Mickelsen. And we're going to definitely be giving your book, Get Clients Today, to my whole audience. We're going to have that in the show notes. I'm going to be doing an email out to my list on that. I want to hear about this program that you have opening up. It sounds really interesting. But for those who are just listening right now, haven't downloaded that yet, let's just say you have a coach who's, let's say, making low six figures. They're selling their $1,000 a month for weekly calls or something like that. And they're not locking people in. It's just month to month, and that's where their rate is. But they want to, let's say, grow their income to $200K a year or $500K a year. What would like a sample program look like that would enable them to charge more, lock people in longer, and scale? Like, what would it be an offer that someone would want to pitch to a client on that discovery call?
So whatever they're selling now, they could just keep selling the same thing. So that's one of the things that people don't realize about coaching fees.
Right.
People think, okay, if I was going to charge $25,000, if clients are paying $10,000 a year, let's say, and now you want to raise your rate to $25,000 a year, people think, oh my gosh, all right, well, let me think about what else I could put in this thing. I'm going to promote them to my email list. I'm going to introduce them to other people influencers that I know. I'm going to do the work for them. I'll write their copy. I'm going to, I'll show up at their house and exercise with them every morning. I'll make them breakfast and live with them and make sure they have, and certainly you could create it and all, if you're a weight loss coach, you could certainly create a program like that. I'm not saying you don't have to create a program. You can't create a super package like that, but just because you're charging more than just because you're raising your fees doesn't mean you need to add in more stuff. So that's a huge myth and a huge thing to shift. And this comes down to an understanding about the value of coaching, because most people think about coaching and they think people are paying for coaching, but people don't pay for coaching. They pay for results. People don't hire a coach just because, I want to talk to someone every week, and somebody to, bounce things out. People don't hire a coach because they want to get coached. People hire a coach because they have a big goal or a big dream they want to achieve, or some big challenges they need help to overcome, or really both most of the time. So it's not about, the value of the coaching isn't in the coaching. The value of the coaching is in the results the clients want to achieve. Mm-hmm. So, and a lot of people think, well, if you're business coaching, surely, of course you could charge a lot, but you can't charge a lot for dating coaching. You can't charge a lot for weight loss coaching. You can't charge a lot for, blah, blah, blah. But that's just not true. Now, you could, if you have a program that you're selling there's different hot price points for different niche markets, right? I have a friend who has a outrageously successful weight loss coaching program, right? And I don't even know if she does any one-on-one coaching, but she does a program and she sells it for $500 and it sells like hotcakes. Now, if she were to raise it up to $5,000, I'm sure I guarantee there'd still be some people who would pay that, but it doesn't mean she would make the most money at that price because, less so I don't know what the exact, but you want to look for, when you're not doing stuff that's time intensive, that takes up a lot of your time, like one-on-one coaching, then, you want to scale it and you want to find the best selling, the price that makes you the most money, not that sells the best, makes you the most money, right? She could sell it for $20. Maybe it sells twice as much, but she's going to make way less because, so, I'm not saying that that's not true. There's truth to that, right? But there's also truth to that there's in any niche market, I believe there's $10,000 clients, $25,000 clients, $100,000 clients. All right. One of my clients was or is, but I worked with him a little while back. But he's a health coach, right? And a lot of times people hire him for weight loss, but also for health stuff. And clients pay him $25,000 to work with him for 6 months if they full pay, or $5,000 a month for 6 months if they pay monthly, which is $30,000 for health coaching, right? So there isn't a niche market out there that you can't, that's a real actual niche, right? There's a lot of people who make up niches. I help people, find their inner happiness space or something. Like, I don't know, like, the convoluted, crazy niche things that aren't really niches. But if it's a real niche, people will pay. There's plenty of people who will pay $5,000 to achieve pretty much anything, right? Lose weight and keep it off forever. Would you pay $5,000 for that? Absolutely. I mean, are there going to be people who wouldn't pay for that? Of course. That's one of the things about coaching fees is that no matter how little you charge, there's people who can't afford it, and no matter how much you charge, there's people who can.
When you said that, I've heard that before. I was listening to it while working out, and I was like, full stop, write this down, tattoo this on my head, because I have so many people charging $100 a month for 4 sessions or $400 a month for 2. I'm like, guys, and they're like, oh, this is all my market can afford.
It's not true. It's not true. Plus, here's the thing. If you don't have a great system for signing up clients, if you don't have all these pieces that we've talked about, plus all the pieces in my book, plus all the pieces in my program, if you don't have those pieces, then what happens is, oh, people can't, you're going to hear, oh, I can't afford it, I can't afford it, I can't afford it. It's not because your price is too high. It's because your process isn't strong enough to motivate people and to show people the value of your coaching. You're not able to show people how working with you is going to help them overcome all the challenges that are holding them back and all the challenges that they don't even know are holding them back that are going to come up probably later, and that you're going to be able to help them get the results that they want. And once you really focus on results, I just did a class, which when people sign up to get my book for free, they'll also get a bunch of my trainings for free. But I just did a live training a couple days ago, and we have the video up from it. And gosh, now what the heck was I saying? what was my point that I'm making here?
We're talking about having the right process so you can attract people who will pay. Yeah.
Yes, but there's something. Oh, the foundation. Yes, the foundation. That's what the last call was all about. I talked about it was the Get Clients Blueprint, and I spent a big chunk at the beginning talking about the foundation of having a blueprint for a thriving coaching business that gets you lots of, where you have plenty of clients. The foundation is results. You got to be clear about the results you help people get. You got to be confident about your ability to get people the results. You also need to know that it's not your job to get the client's results. They have to get the results themselves, right? Like, you could be the greatest coach in the world, but if they aren't doing the work, right, there's only so much you can do, right? If they aren't showing up for the session, right? Sometimes people might pay for coaching and then just not even show up because they just think they're – but look, we've got to be willing to do everything we can to help them get the results. Sometimes, I'll stay on extra long. Sessions are half hour, or sessions are an hour, or sessions are 45 minutes, whatever you decide your session times are. But sometimes I'll stay on for an hour, for 2 hours. Like, I want to go all in. I'm all in for my clients. My goal is to help them become a success story. My goal is to make them successful as best I can. Right? I'm not going to do all the work for them, but sometimes, if I look at their marketing, I'll give them feedback on it. Sometimes I'll dictate their marketing copy for them. I'll be like, here, try this marketing copy. Look at their ad. I'll be like, all right, tweak this, try this, test it, see if it works. And so, we got to be willing to do a lot for our clients. Not that we have to be willing to, but I tend to be, right? I'm passionate about working with my clients. I want to help them succeed. And we got to be willing. We got to have tools to help them with the inner game, because that's one of the biggest problems. In fact, that is where the biggest leverage is. Most of what holds people back is the inner work. The only thing that makes anything difficult is the mind and emotions about it. Yeah. We don't, as a coach, a hard job would be having to shovel snow all day in the winter in New York. Like, that's your job. Like, oh man, my back. Oh God, this snow. Hopefully you can buy a snowplow and you can do it. But sometimes, maybe, or a snowblower. But like, if that was your thing, like, oh, that's hard work. Posting on Instagram, shooting videos, writing articles, like, that's not hard. The only thing that makes it hard is like, oh, what are people going to think? Oh, I'm not that good on video. What I got? Oh, all that's all the inner stuff. That's the stuff that makes anything hard.
Yeah.
And if you can master that for yourself and help your clients master that, because they're going to run into their doubts and fears and limiting beliefs, and we've got to have tools to help them with that. So, if you're going to answer your question about, like, if you're going to take somebody who's already making $100,000 and they're charging $1,000 a month, and you want to go to $200,000, $300,000, $500,000, partly, you reach more people, partly go beyond one-on-one coaching, add group coaching, maybe create online training programs. But you could definitely scale up and charge way more, $10,000, $25,000, $100,000. And the secret isn't necessarily that you need to create a better package. The secret is you need to own your value more. You need to really focus on results, focus on getting results, and talk about the results, and then have a great process for signing the clients up so that they're really motivated to work with you by the end of that intro session.
That is so well said, and I'm just so grateful to have you on this show, Christian. Now, you mentioned a book. You mentioned this program coming up. We're going to have links to everything in the show notes, but if you could just talk a little bit about your book and about this program. I know our listeners are very interested in this. I'm interested in it myself. So what's the dealio?
Yeah, great. So I don't know if we have a special link we're using, or if we're just using my regular link for this.
I'm going to drop my special link in the show notes and everything, but feel free to share yours for now.
Okay, great. So we have my book. You can get it at getclientstodaybook.com. Getclientstodaybook.com. You can go there, you get my book for free. And in there, I share so many secrets about how to generate lots of interest. Basically, it's based on those 3 steps that you ran through really quick, which is to get clients. The 3-step process for getting clients is that people somehow hear about you. We talk about all these different ways people can hear about you. They have a session with you. We talk about all these different ways or how to craft a really compelling free session offer so that people want to have that session with you, and how to put that out in all those different ways. So how to get the people who hear about you, they want to have a session with you. And then, of course, we talk about what to do during the session so that people go from step 2 to step 3, which is they hire you. So that's what's in the book. It's, a pouring of my best ideas over the last, 15, 20 years to help coaches get clients. I'm on a mission to get the whole world coached. I can't coach everybody myself, but if I can empower more coaches to get more clients so that more clients get coached. The thing is, most people don't realize that they need coaching. They're not out looking for, I need a coach. What's happening is they're thinking, I have a problem. I need help with this thing. And so I teach coaches how to get in front of the people who have the problem, who have the goals, and then, get them from hearing about you to having a session with you, to hiring you, and eventually building an entire coaching business empire, where maybe you do your own live events and you do your own, you have your own online training programs and all that stuff. And then my free Sessions That Sell program, again, we open registration once a year. That happens in January for just like 4 or 5 days. That's happening soon. And so that program just really goes step by step, exactly what to say and do during an introductory coaching session to get clients to hire you right on the spot without putting any pressure on the prospective clients. I teach how to create reverse pressure. I teach how to create a vacuum so that the clients just keep being compelled to move forward to want to work with you versus trying to put pressure on them, like trying to get them to be your client. Oh, I want to get you. No, they want to get you. They're trying to get you. You want to reverse that. So like, yeah, tell me more. Oh my God. Yes. How can I work with you? Oh my God, please let me hire you. That's what you want to have happen. And that's what this whole free Sessions That Sell process is all about. And I mentioned that, in the early days of my business, it's like, oh, I just want to help people. And then you see people who are like pushy and maybe they get a few more clients. But there's actually a middle way that works even better than either of those things. And that's what the free Sessions That Sell system is. It's a way of not being pushy, but being willing to talk about what you do and what you have if people are interested, one of the magic phrases I teach in free sessions that sell is, I'll say, hey, I have a program designed specifically to help people overcome the kinds of challenges you mentioned and achieve the kind of results you're looking for. Would you like to hear a little bit about it? Right? Perfect. So I'm asking if they want to hear about it. I'm not just jumping down their throat here. I'm going to tell you about my program. And if you ever got on a cold call and you're trying to hang up, they're like, whoa, wait. Let me just. Well, how about this? Did you know? And they just think if I could just tell them one more thing, they'd want to listen. But it's too late. Like, I'm just trying to hang up without hurting your feelings, and at some point I'm going to do it no matter what. I'm hanging up.
Yes.
But we don't want to do that. We don't like. In fact, if I were doing sales calls, if I was doing cold calls, I would just say, and in fact, I used to do cold calls to grow my business. I would do this. I would say, this is a sales call. They'd say hello, and I'd say, hi, this is a sales call. Do you want to hang up?
Yeah. Amazing.
Like hang up if you want. Like, I want to, like, if you want to hear what I have, like, we can have a conversation, but like, if you want to hang up, let's hang this thing up, because I don't want to waste your time talking to you if you don't want to hear me. And I don't want to waste my time talking to you if you don't want to hear me. And this is, free sessions that sell is not cold calls. It's not like that in any way. It's not like, oh, you're a telemarketer and you're trying to sell them something. It's the opposite, because with telemarketing, you're interrupting people and trying to get them to buy stuff that they may don't want to buy in the middle of whatever the hell's going on. With free sessions that sell, it's the opposite. We have massive value. We say, hey, I can help you. We make this offer. Like, do you want to have one of these free sessions with me that are extremely valuable? And then people are like, yes. They're scheduling time with you. Oftentimes they'll even pay to have that free session with you. It's these hot prospects that really want what you have. And so then it's not as simple as just taking the order, because if the price was low, it would be kind of like that. But if you are charging high fees, you do need to take them through a very specific step-by-step process. And that's what free sessions that sell is.
Unbelievable. Guys, Christian Mickelsen, coaches with clients. This guy is the real deal. I'm going to have in the show notes, Get Clients Today, his book. And if you guys are looking for a program to scale your coaching business, this is the one. Christian, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
My pleasure. It was an honor. It was a privilege. And it was a delight to be with you and your people.